Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News or India's Voice to the World. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour. PM Modi engages with innovators, examines the nano chip as he attends the second day of Semicon India 2025, underlines push for resilient semiconductor ecosystem. German Foreign Minister Johann Wadephul on a two-day official visit to India meets External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar in New Delhi, focus on deepening relationship with the European Union and expedite the FTA negotiations. Strong aftershock hits Afghanistan after quake kills more than 1,400. Humanitarian aid pours in. India continues to extend support. Multiple attacks in Pakistan leaves at least 25 dead, including 11 at political rally. Investigation underway. And in Hockey Asia Cup 2025, India to take on defending champion South Korea in Super 4's opener. Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended the second day of Semicon India 2025 conference in New Delhi today. The Prime Minister visited the Semicon exhibition, witnessing firsthand the process of chip manufacturing, nanochip production and advanced assembling taking shape in India. He also explored the innovations of global leaders including Micron, Delta, Keynes and Lam Research, with industry efforts sharply focused on next generation chips for defense, aerospace and electric vehicles. The fourth edition of Semicon India was inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi on Tuesday. With over 350 companies from 33 countries, this fourth edition of Semicon India has become the largest ever, drawing a record number of global stakeholders. And Prime Minister Modi has shared an article written by Minister of Electronics and Information Technology Ashwini Vaishnav. In the article, Shaping the Future Chip by Chip, Minister Vaishnav highlighted the country's transformative semiconductor journey with the goal of making India a product nation. He stated that the output from India's semiconductor plants will serve critical sectors such as telecom, automotive, data centers, consumer electronics and industrial electronics, catering not just for India but for the whole world. Minister Vaishnav further noted that the Semicon India Summit 2025 inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi marks the continuation of this journey. Responding to a post by Minister Vaishnav on X, Prime Minister said, and I quote him here, Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav writes on Bharat's transformative semiconductor journey, noting that the Semicon India Summit 2025 marks the continuation of this path. He highlights that in the coming decade, as India's semiconductor units attain scale and maturity, the nation is set to emerge as a competitive hub for the entire semiconductor value chain, unquote. And in a major boost to India's semiconductor ambitions, US-based chip-making tools giant Lam Research has announced an investment of Rs 10,000 crore in the country. The company, which develops cutting-edge tools essential for semiconductor manufacturing from wafer processing to wiring, is set to play a key role in shaping India's chip ecosystem. Prime Minister Modi met Lam Research leadership during Semicon India 2025. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya spoke exclusively to Rangesh Raghavan, Managing Director of Lam Research India, on how the company is transforming India's semiconductor landscape.
Joining me is Rangesh Raghavan, the Managing Director of Lamb Research Corporation. Sir, welcome to DD. We saw Prime Minister Modi coming here, first stop, and you saw him, what Lamb is all about. And you mentioned the fact that, people talk about semicon industry, but you provide them the necessary tools to, keep going, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Lam is the global leader for making equipment and provide services to help our customers, who are the leading chip fabs in the world, manufacture their chips. So the fundamental building blocks of semiconductors are enabled by Lam. And I would say that pretty much every chip that's used in the world has gone through a Lam machine. Right. So several times, sometimes.
And Prime Minister was also quite keen on in all these things that he was there, and you mentioned it. What it was like, talking to him.
Prime Minister was fully engaged. When he first came in, he said, "आज मैं विद्यार्थी बन के आया हूँ, सीखने के लिए आया हूँ. I'm here as a student and I would like to learn." So we spent time explaining the process to him and what it is that we do. Of course, he already has a very good understanding. He wanted to know how India can contribute more to the ecosystem that we are enabling. He talked about the opportunity for suppliers and the opportunity for several states to engage in this process. And then we showed him our magic sauce, which is our plasma tool.
Yeah, let's just go there first. And this is the tool that you're talking about. This is the plasma.
And if you can zoom in here, you will see, इसके अंदर zoom in कीजिए, आपको दिखेगा, ये एक glowing है. That is the unique state of matter that only exists on stars. We bring it to Earth.
Prime Minister was very happy to see all this.
Yeah, he was super excited. He's always been very engaging. He wants to learn. When he talks to you, he's paying full attention. So it's actually a very good thing to see.
So Semicon 2025 is seeing all new technologies, as Lam has pointed out. This kind of technology is very new, and if India has to become a semiconductor hub, then it's technologies like this and people like Lam, companies like Lam, have to play a crucial role in that. With Campus and Yogesh, this is Tapush Bhattacharya for DD India from Yashobhoomi, Delhi.
And Keynes Tech, which is setting up a flagship OSAT facility in Sanand, Gujarat, with an investment of over 3,300 crore, was approved by the government in September 2024. DD India's Tapas spoke exclusively to Raghu Panikar. We'll come back to it, but let's go across live to the joint press conference by External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and Foreign Minister of Germany.
Honorable External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, to make his opening remarks to the media. So the floor is yours.
Colleagues, friends from the media, we have just completed a very productive discussion on India-Germany cooperation, on our relationship with the European Union, and we have exchanged views on regional, global, and multilateral issues. Now, before I come to those subjects, let me again first publicly welcome my friend, Foreign Minister Dr. Johan Wadephul, who is here for the first time in his current capacity. I had the honor of being his guest this May, and between May and now, we have actually been regularly in touch in this intervening period. Now, I first got to know him when we met at the Munich Security Conference, which was well before he became Foreign Minister. And I must say, even then, I was impressed by his commitment to advancing the India-Germany strategic partnership. I'm very confident that that enthusiasm will now be applied by him fully in his new role. During the day today, we've had detailed discussions on various aspects of our ties. This includes our political cooperation, security and defense, economic relations, research and future technologies, climate and energy, as well as education, skilling, mobility, and people-to-people exchanges. So let me share with you some key points which came out of today's discussion. One, we greatly value the understanding that Germany has shown with regard to India's fight against terrorism. Minister Wadephul has himself been explicit about our right to defend our people against terrorist attacks. Our parliamentary delegation that visited Germany in June after Operation Sindoor was also warmly received. Two, there's been an uptick in our defense and security cooperation. Germany participated in the Tarang Shakti air exercises last year, and its ships made port calls to Goa. Today, we agreed that such participation should be continued, indeed even expanded. In the past, we have had significant export control difficulties in the defense and security domain. I would like to express my appreciation today for the smoothening of these processes and more expeditious clearances. We also spoke about greater industry collaboration between our two countries in this context. Three, our two-way trade last year was almost 50 billion euros. Minister Wadaful is on record. I saw one of his interviews where he said that he was very confident we will be doubling our trade. Let me assure him that India fully reciprocates that sentiment. It looks forward to working with the government, with the German government. And last year, I recall, we had a very successful conference in Delhi of APK, the German Industry Association. And I want to reiterate that we remain fully committed to continuously improving the ease of doing business in this country. And I assured the minister today that any concerns that German companies may have in India, coming to India, establishing themselves, working here, we would be prepared to give it special attention. In the semiconductor manufacturing area, that has actually emerged as a particularly promising domain. We welcome German investments and GCCs. Indian talent can make a significant contribution to Germany's own expanding capabilities here. And I must say that the model of talent preparation and flow that Germany has evolved has been particularly effective. I would really commend our German colleagues for that. And we hope to see that scale up further. 5, we have just marked 50 years of our scientific collaboration. Intensifying that and linking it to industry is the task that we have set for ourselves. Our cyber and digital dialogues are also important. Minister Wadaful visited the Indian Institute of Science in Bengaluru and also ISRO. And I'm very glad he did, because I think space cooperation has a lot of potential, and we again today agreed that it should be more aggressively explored. 6, on climate and energy, we have been working for the last few years on what's called the Green and Sustainable Development Partnership. Now, some of you would be aware that projects under this have included the Nagpur Metro Rail, green energy corridors in 5 states, and the integrated water transport project in Kochi. Our discussions today also covered green hydrogen, green energy financing, and biofuels. 7, we have seen good progress in education and mobility. I believe that the largest number of foreign students in Germany are now from India. On my last 2 visits to that country, I heard praise for our community's contribution from across the political spectrum in Germany. The skilled labor strategy released by the German government offers a very good framework for mutual benefit. We have also agreed on gratis visas for short-term school and college visits to further promote student exchanges. And 8, on consular issues, I should mention that I raised the issue of Ariha Shah, an Indian child who's been in foster care of German authorities for some time. I underlined to the minister that it is essential that her cultural rights are ensured and she grows up in Indian surroundings. So this matter needs to be resolved without further delay, and I think we've had some discussions today on that subject. Needless to say, we also did a review of the global situation, of regional issues, of multilateral. It included the Ukraine conflict, West Asia, Middle East, and the Indo-Pacific. These were very, very useful, and I must say I really appreciated Minister Wadaful's insights on many of these subjects. So let me conclude by stressing today that we see the world facing the twin challenges of economic volatility and political uncertainty. We believe that a multipolar world with strategic autonomy can best respond through more intensive consultations and cooperation among key member states. It is in that spirit that I welcomed Minister Wadaful and his delegation today, and I must again thank him for a very open, constructive, and positive approach to intensifying our strategic partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I now invite His Excellency Dr. Johann Wadaful, Federal Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Federal Republic of Germany, to give his remarks to the media.
Herzlichen Dank, meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren, lieber Herr Kollege, lieber Chai. Vielen herzlichen Dank für das herzliche Willkommen hier. Ich bin in der Tat sehr gerne gekommen. Wir sehen uns in kürzester Zeit zum dritten Mal. Ich bedanke mich für die Freundschaft, die wir haben aufbauen können über viele Treffen jetzt. Verlässlichkeit, Freundschaft, Kalkulierbarkeit sind in der heutigen Zeit der Unsicherheit, der Kriege und der Konflikten von unschätzbarem Wert. Und deswegen weiß ich es persönlich besonders zu schätzen und sehe es auch als ein starkes Zeichen der engen Freundschaft und Zusammenarbeit unserer beiden Länder an, dass wir so vertrauensvoll zusammenarbeiten können, dass wir auf 25 Jahre strategische Partnerschaft zurückblicken können zwischen unseren Ländern und dass wir dies haben persönlich ausbauen können. Ich teile die Analyse vollständig, dass diese Partnerschaften, wenn man über strategische Autonomie nachdenken will, über eine Form der wirtschaftlichen und sicherheitspolitischen Souveränität von entscheidender Bedeutung heutzutage ist. Wir haben natürliche Verbündete und Freunde und für Deutschland gehört Indien dazu. Nachdem ich heute bei einer Schülermannschaft ein bisschen Hockey schlagen durfte. Nicht besonders erfolgreich, aber es ist ein Mannschaftssport, eine Mannschaftssportart, möchte ich sagen. Deutschland und Indien spielen in einer Mannschaft. Und das ist gut in diesen unruhigen internationalen Zeiten. Und das spiegelt sich wieder in 50 Jahren Wissenschaftskooperation und 60 Jahren Kulturabkommen in zahlreichen Bereichen. Mit unseren gemeinsamen Regierungskonsultationen alle 2 Jahre stärken wir unseren Team Spirit, genauso wie mit zahlreichen hochrangigen Gesprächen, hoffentlich bald auch dem Besuch des Bundeskanzlers hier in Indien. Denn wir wollen die Herausforderungen, mit denen unsere beiden Länder konfrontiert sind, gemeinsam angehen und die Zusammenarbeit stärken. Indien hat als aufstrebende Wirtschaftsmacht
to tackle the challenges both our countries are confronted with together and to strengthen our cooperation. As a rising economic powerhouse and the most populous country and biggest democracy in the world, India has a special importance in a world region that is of strategic importance. Our economies in particular have a lot to gain, I believe, if we are to further expand our cooperation. I was in Bangalore yesterday and I saw for myself what an innovative powerhouse and technology center India has become. In the area of AI and aerospace, but in other areas too, India wants to and will be at the forefront, among the front runners in a whole host of areas. Today we talked about the potential for further enhancing our cooperation, be it in the area of strengthening cooperation in the field of aerospace and space, be it in the area of AI, where we both believe the need to set up norms, rules and values that we also tie here too. With the EU AI Act, the EU has presented an important first building block in that regard. That India is going to host the next AI summit is a demonstration of India's ambition and claim to be in the vanguard and amongst the frontrunners in the area of new technology too. with regard to bilateral trade, India and Germany are already playing in the Premier League. Germany, with little under 31 billion euros of trade, has India as its most important trading partner. As I said to my colleague, we aim to double that. And I'm pleased to see that India takes a similarly positive and optimistic view of the chances for that. And this is why Germany strongly supports the EU-India Free Trade Agreement. And we hope that this can be speedily negotiated so that it can be concluded before the end of this year, in autumn this year, and hopefully lead to a ratification process. If others set up impediments to trade, we should respond by us lowering these impediments and hurdles. We believe that this fosters understanding amongst peoples and their prosperity. Today already we have more than 2,000 German companies that are active on the Indian subcontinent, and India is gaining increasing weight whenever we talk about diversifying supply chains, be it chemical products, pharmaceuticals, textiles, electronics or IT services. But the fact that I have with me a large business delegation is a demonstration of Germany's great interest in India's market. Now we also have to make sure that market access restrictions are being reduced in order to tap that enormous potential of enhanced economic relations. We must, however, not lose sight of climate change as we strive to increase growth. Germany's contribution to India's Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative equals to 20 million euros, the aim being to make Pacific island states resilient to climate-induced loss and damage. We both also agreed that we want to create more opportunities for Indian skilled labor and students who aim to come to Germany. We have almost 60,000 Indian students in Germany, which makes them already today the largest group of international students in Germany. Many of them choose to stay because we urgently need highly skilled and highly qualified labor. With our strategy on highly skilled labor in India, we already support the area of getting these talents to come to Germany. It's already now a genuine success story. Indian skilled workers in Germany are successful in their jobs, earn more than above average income, and show above average integration. They are an asset for the German labor market. Today, the visa center in Bangalore has been issuing already 36,000 visas last year. It is for long-term stays, and the number is increasing. In 2024, almost a third of all student visas globally were issued in India. So, as far as that is concerned, we are playing in the Champions League in the visa era. But it is equally true that we want to enhance our performance through digitizing the processes and making them more efficient. In order to expand this success story, though, we have also to improve and enhance the language training on offer. We're working with the Goethe Institute in expanding the infrastructure for German language tuition and language exams, but above all, we want to promote German as a foreign language at the schools in India. Right now we have 58 partner schools in India, and we aim to increase their number to 1,000 soon. Ladies and gentlemen, but apart from touching on bilateral relations, we also spoke about international challenges. India and Germany are united by the objective to preserve the rules-based international order. And of course that includes the freedom of maritime trade routes in the Indo-Pacific. China's increasingly aggressive behavior in the Indo-Pacific is cause for concern for both our countries. More generally, we aim to further expand our cooperation in the areas of defense, security and armaments, and we talked about this today. Be that through common exercises of our forces or speeding up the granting of export licenses process for the Indo-Pacific engagement. Last year, German frigate made a port call in India. Germany stands ready to enhance this cooperation. We also talked about the fact that security in the Indo-Pacific is closely linked to security in Europe. For us, Russia's war of aggression, for us in Germany and Europe, Russia's war of aggression is right now and remains right now the biggest challenge to our security policy. The fact that Prime Minister Modi, when he met with President Putin a couple of days ago, also pointed to the need of a speedy peace agreement in Ukraine has been important to us. We Europeans are doing our best, working with our American and Ukrainian friends to ensure that this war ends soon and that Ukraine finds peace as a sovereign state. I know that we don't always see 100% eye to eye with our Indian friends, and this is why I spoke out in favor today that India uses its relations with Russia to point to the need to make peace return to Europe, and I'm grateful for the open discussion we had here today. Peace is the basis for security, freedom and prosperity. Security, anyway, or generally speaking, is and will remain a challenge for the future. And we are pleased that in the vicinity of India too, a ceasefire has come to apply. I assured you, dear colleagues, that when it comes to India defending itself against terrorism, Germany continues to be firmly at your side. I look forward to our next exchange of views, probably on the fringes of the General Assembly of the United Nations, as early as in 3 weeks in New York. So, see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We now open the floor for questions.
Wir haben nun noch Zeit für ein paar
And you ask
Fragen.
your question, please do
Würden Sie sich
identify
bitte
yourself
kurz
and your-
vor...
Reza. Yeah, question. Please take the mic.
Thank you. Reza from the Hindustan Times. For the External Affairs Minister, I was just wondering the geopolitical changes that we are witnessing, does that spur the case for a closer strategic and economic partnership with Europe and its constituents such as Germany? And you know, there are plans for India to work with Germany to bolster its submarine fleet. Did that come up in your conversation? If I may, to the German foreign minister, you are here at a time when India and China are rebuilding their relations. And what does Germany think of that process? And given Germany's interest in the Indo-Pacific, do you view China more as a competitor or a rival?
I think definitely there's no question that the changes we see in the world today do influence our policies and do influence the manner in which we approach other countries. So we are seeing, very sweeping changes on the global strategic landscape. We're also seeing a lot of volatility on the global economic landscape. And I think together they make a very powerful case for India and the European Union and India and Germany to work much more closely with each other. Because we do believe that, there's plenty of space there, economic space, technology space, I would even say political, strategic defense space there to be explored. So this is a relationship where there are, considerable possibilities for fairly rapid growth. Obviously, it won't happen by itself. Today, our conversation was mostly devoted to the bilateral part. You mentioned you referred to the submarines. Obviously, that was not something we would discuss in detail. We are the foreign ministers. That's something which is between the defense ministries. But we, for example, discussed, the faster clearances and growing defense trade between India and Germany, which has really gone up quite significantly. We discussed how to increase business, and there it's not just between India and Germany. The minister was good enough to assure me that Germany would put its full weight behind the FTA negotiations with the European Union as well. So bottom line answer is yes. There are big changes underway in the world. Those changes make a very compelling case for a deeper, stronger, wider India-Germany relationship.
Ich habe ja schon heute gesagt, dass ich die Entwicklung der indisch-chinesischen Beziehungen positiv beurteile. Und es ist auch gar nicht meine Aufgabe, darüber chinesischen Beziehungen positiv beurteile.
Have a positive view of the development of Indo-Chinese relations, nor was it up to me, nor were I considering myself the person to pass judgment on this. This is a matter that pertains to the respective countries, and they are, of course, free to shape their relations as they desire. But we always welcome when two countries try to improve the understanding between themselves. We agree with India and many other countries that we need to defend the international rules-based order and that we also have to defend it against China. At least that is our clear analysis. And because you used those words and you did so correctly, Germany, like the European Union, has a clear position regarding China. For us, China is a partner in some areas. Think of climate protection. It is clear and obvious that we won't be able to address these issues and problems without China. We also view China as a competitor. We compete against China in a number of areas, sectors. Our business does, our economy does. It's generally speaking not a problem, but we place value on having a fair competition and equal rules. But we also see China as a systemic rival. We don't want that rivalry. We increasingly note that the number of areas is increasing where China has chosen this approach, though, and we are sad about that. Therefore, we have to respond in some of these areas, amongst them our areas where we have to defend our markets against China. We're determined to continue to do so. At the same time, we always express our readiness to return to the partnership spirit.
You have a question there, Sandra?
Eine Frage? Sandra?
Thank you. Russia, the United States of America. So how exactly does Germany fit into this balancing of strategic partnerships? Und eine Frage an Herrn Minister Wadefuhl. Sie haben auf der Anreise nach Indien gesagt, dass Indien ein sehr wichtiger Partner ist für Deutschland, aber auch ein nicht immer einfacher Partner. Was genau würden Sie sich denn anders wünschen oder vielleicht besser wünschen? Danke.
I thought we were quite easy, but he agreed. Look, the fact is today, we have, I'm now speaking from an Indian perspective, we have important strategic relationships with a number of countries. And it's in the nature of global politics or global strategy today that each one of these relationships would be maintained and you would optimize them. So to me, both Germany in itself and Germany as the biggest country of the European Union are obviously central to the calculations and to the relationships that we have in the world. So, I mean, if you look at it by virtually any metric, I mean, whether it is economic, whether it is political, we were, among the other things we didn't get to mention here, except Johan did at the end of his remarks, we are two countries who are also, as part of the G4, trying to change the, trying to bring about a reform of the Security Council and of the UN itself. So, for us, this is an enormously important relationship. This relationship is growing in substance. And I can see at this time of uncertainties that actually it has a greater value. It's a very steady relationship. It is a relationship where largely what we promise to each other and policies that we have remain constant and remain predictable. So, predictability today has a huge premium in global politics. So I do think that, this relationship is actually only growing in its weight and its value. And part of the reason why we have met so regularly, even in the last few months, and spoken to each other is because of that.
Ich kann die gleichen Worte auf Deutsch. Ich kann die gleichen Worte auf Deutsch.
You've taken the words out of my mouth, so basically I'm repeating them in German now, saying what you said. You could say, as I've tried to impress earlier, India equals Asia for us, and Germany and the European Union, in a way, are equivalent for India. It is of immense importance, as has become obvious today during our talks, that India plays a very important part. And though we both have our own political positions and political priorities, but when it comes to democratic principles and regulatory steps, both our countries and both our markets tend to be very diligent and adhering to certain details. Sometimes we could make it easier for the other side to engage in the respective market. And we've underlined that in our discussions today, and I think we both have our homework to do in that regard. When you look at the history of India, it is more than obvious that at the time when I was young and went to school and later studied at university, I got to know India as a non-aligned country. Of course, that has left its mark on this country and distinguishes this country from Germany, which has always been a part of NATO, part of the Western world. And during the Cold War, we were in confrontation with the then Soviet Union. And unfortunately, and I deplore that fact, because we thought we'd overcome that, but we are back in a situation, we've not been able to overcome this, back in a situation where we're confronting Russia, have a confrontation between Russia and the European and Europe, because international law is being violated there. We find us again in this situation, and India finds itself in a different situation. So that is a challenge to talk about these matters, or rather not to talk about these matters, but to always reach a perfect agreement on all of these issues. But that's obvious, that's what is to be expected, and I don't think it's something bad, because in so many other areas we totally agree, and we have this reliability and predictability of the respective partner country, which plays such an enormous part, and of which we know that this is a clear political stance of India to contribute to bringing about a process for peace in Ukraine as quickly as possible. Again, here we see eye to eye. And I tried to convey that when I traveled here, but I totally agree with my colleague that this talk has not only been an easygoing talk, it has been also very fruitful, and it took place in a spirit of friendship. And I returned to Germany much encouraged as a consequence.
Okay, thank you. Pranay?
So, Mr. Bountiful, my question to you is that on Russia-Ukraine conflict, do you support the idea of using tariffs as a tool to on third country to persuade or to pressure Russia and Ukraine to bring a ceasefire? And are you only, Germany and Europe, only working with the Mr. Donald Trump-led ceasefire initiative, or you have come with some new ideas or to work with countries like India, with whom President Putin and President Zelensky both are keeping active contacts? And to External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar, you know that I'm sure you must have discussed the unreasonable, unjustified, unfair tariffs with the German Foreign Minister. But what assurance did you get from the Germany, and especially from the EU side, to accommodate the Indian products and accommodate the Indian export? And as he rightly pointed out, that if someone is putting unreasonable tariff and barriers, we should lower it down. So what are the concrete assurances did you get?
We'll take one more question. So please go ahead.
Ja, vielen Dank, Andreas Kühners vom ZDF. Ja, vielen Dank, Andreas Kühnast vom ZDF.
Thank you, Andreas Kühnast,
Herr Minister,
Second German Television.
Minister
Both ministers, Minister Wadefull said that he had asked you to make use of your good services and offices to impress upon Russia that we need to see peace come about. What was your response? Will you play your part even more will you engage even more? Herr Wadefull, eine Frage an Sie. Wird die Position Indiens sich ändern, was den Erwerb von russischem Öl anbetrifft?
Ja, ich fange gerne an. Also,
I'm happy to begin.
Wir verfolgen ja in diesem Konflikt
In this conflict,
von vornherein eine Politik.
we have right from the outset been pursuing a policy that has the objective of
Den Verhandlungsweg finden.
Russia and Ukraine following the path of negotiations. However, what we have noticed of late is that despite the enormous efforts that the American president has invested, Russia has not been willing to sit down at the negotiating table, whereas the Ukrainian President Zelensky, has expressed his immediate readiness to negotiate and sit down at the negotiation table. In a way, it has taken a first step. We're talking a country that has been attacked without it having done anything to trigger that attack. The only demand is that weapons fall silent, no more than that, and I think that that is a reasonable precondition for people to engage in serious and genuine peace negotiations. As far as that is concerned, that is a clear German approach and European approach, that we want to do whatever we can to make President Putin sit down at the negotiating table. As far as Europe is concerned, this includes sanctions being imposed on Russia. We have not used tariffs, but it was sanctions that we have imposed on Russia, so as to ensure that Russia, which has to fund its war, will be less able to do so. Thus, we took certain steps and measures. There have been several packages of sanctions that we've imposed, amongst them the so-called oil price cap. The purpose being that we want to withdraw the financial basis that Russia has and that enables it to wage this war. But at the same time, it has been of great importance to us to ensure that there are no bottlenecks when it comes to countries supplying itself with the energy they need, and that there are no unreasonable increases in prices. But it is, of course, not the purpose has not been that Russia uses detours but manages to get its oil to us, and we therefore took appropriate measures to prevent that. But the objective of our policies has been to bring about negotiations. So we've been targeted in our approach, targeting our steps to make it more difficult for Russia to fund its warfare. And the quicker we can get the parties to sit down at the negotiation table, the quicker or the sooner the moment will come for us to lift these measures or adapt them.
What we discussed between India and Europe and India and Germany on economic issues, trade issues. Look, our conversations and our negotiations predate anything which has happened this year. It's something which has been going on for multiple years. And it's in our mutual interest that we lower tariffs and we find other ways of expanding our business and economic cooperation. Obviously, you know, in today's climate, those efforts acquire a greater urgency. I mean, that's quite apparent. But it is an ongoing conversation, and I share the minister's desire, and in a way, I would even say optimism, that we would like now the FTA negotiations. We hope that another round takes place fairly soon. We would like this to move to a decisive conclusion in the coming days, and we believe that this would be in our mutual interest. It will help stabilize the global economy. It will be a big factor there. It will be a kind of one of the elements of a ballast which today the world economy really needs.
Thank you, sir. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the close of this press conference. We thank honorable ministers for their participation, and we thank all of you for your presence and participation as well. Thank you very much.
All right, so that was the joint press conference by External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and Foreign Minister of Germany, Waterful. External Affairs Minister said we have exchanged dialogues on regional global aspect. On trade, he said the two-way trade was 60 billion euros. Indian talent can make significant contribution, and 50 years of scientific collaborations, cyber and digital dialogues also important, he said. He also said that he assured German Foreign Minister that any concern that German companies may have, he would give special importance and attention to that. He spoke on regional and multilateral issues, agreed gratis visa for short school and college exchanges. He also thanked him for open, constructive and comprehensive approach. And for us, he said, this is an enormously important relationship. This is a stable relationship, he mentioned. And also, on the other hand, German Foreign Minister said that we can engage in the spirit of trust. 50 years of science cooperation and more than 100 companies in India has rising economic power and largest democracy in the world. India has strategic importance. Also said that discussions focused on boosting bilateral trade and investment ties while exploring new avenues of cooperation. 60,000 Indian students in Germany, he said, and many of them choose to stay there in Germany. We want to create more opportunities for skilled Indians in Germany, and we want to enhance our visa process and make it more efficient. We want to promote German language as a subject in Indian schools too, and also said that China's aggressive behavior in Indo-Pacific is a concern for both countries, India and Germany. Security in Indo-Pacific is linked to security in Europe, and when it comes to India defending itself and its territory, we firmly stand by India. He also said that there is volatility in global order and markets, so India and EU should come together. India equals Asia for us, and this relationship is of immense importance. So this was primarily the gist of what they said, and we'll have a detailed story soon. All right, earlier India's Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal co-chaired a meeting with the business delegations from India and Germany along with Germany's Foreign Minister Johann Wadephul. The leaders discussed strengthening trade facilitation, regulatory frameworks and market access, and also explored avenues of collaboration in defense, space, innovation and automobiles, underscoring the vast potential of our partnership. All right, shifting focus now. In Pakistan, over a dozen people were killed in 3 attacks on Tuesday, including 14 who died after a suicide bomber targeted a political rally in the southwestern province of Balochistan. Dozens of people were wounded in that explosion, which took place in the parking lot of a stadium in the provincial capital, Quetta, where hundreds of members of the Balochistan National Party had gathered. Government officials said the rally was held to commemorate the anniversary of the death of Sardar Ataullah Mengal, a nationalist leader and former provincial chief minister. The official said that Mengal's son, Sardar Akhtar Mengal, who was in attendance, is safe, adding that another 30 people were injured. Another attack in Balochistan near the border with Iran claimed 5 lives on Tuesday, while 6 soldiers were killed after a suicide attack on the base in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. The regional police chief said the suicide bomber rammed his explosive-laden car into the boundary wall of the base in the town of Bannu early on Tuesday, causing an explosion that allowed other attackers to enter the compound. A police statement blamed the attack on Islamist militants without naming any group. Now, in quake-hit Afghanistan, rescue and relief efforts continue on Wednesday as military ramped up efforts to deliver food, shelter and medical supplies. Airdrop commandos are deployed to pull survivors from the rubble of homes in mountainous eastern areas. At least 1,400 killed in the first earthquake of magnitude 6.0 on Sunday that ravaged the northeastern part of the country. A second quake of magnitude 5.5 on Tuesday caused panic and interrupted rescue efforts as it sent rocks sliding down mountains and cut off roads to villages in remote areas. And in response to the devastating earthquake in Afghanistan, India continues to extend its support. External Affairs Minister Dr. Ajay Shankar shared some photographs on social media platform X as India sent 21 tons of humanitarian assistance to quake-hit country. And the consignment included a wide range of relief materials, including basic necessities. The minister added that India would continue to monitor the situation and provide more assistance in the coming days. India had previously extended humanitarian aid to Afghanistan on Monday, including relief materials. India will continue to monitor the ground situation and send more humanitarian aid over the coming days. All right, Russia's ongoing conflict with Ukraine has put pressure on Western states for more than 3 years now and has made those countries rethink their defense strategies. Lars Halter is with DW and joins me from Berlin. Lars, good to have you. Bring us up to date. What's the situation with defense?
Thanks for having me. Well, to make it short, Russia's aggression against Ukraine made it clear to everyone in Europe that war can happen, and very close to home as well. Ukraine is a democracy that moved closer and closer to the West over the years, was looking at NATO membership, and it got attacked. Russia, as the aggressor, shares a border with Finland as well as the Baltic states of Estonia and Latvia, all members of the European Union. So there is a heightened sense of alert among all European nations, and that at a time when the West is also weakened, specifically by US President Trump's lack of support for NATO and his apparent indifference of what exactly is even happening on the continent here. So that's where we're at, and that's why the 27 EU member states have just decided to increase their spending on defense by 23% to 130 billion euros this year. Now, including all military positions we're looking at, spending is set to rise by 11% to a record 381 billion euros.
Also, Lars, where will these funds go and what are they invested in?
Yeah, let's look a bit at the details. 381 billion euros is the total. Those 130 billion that I initially mentioned, so there would just be around a third of the total, would go right into military investment, into buying fighter jets, tanks, submarines, weapon systems and such. A growing position in the military budget is also research and development. Those expenditures will grow from 13 to now 17 billion euros. That's up 30%. And then, of course, spending on personnel is also growing as the EU member states are trying to recruit and train more people than they had in the past.
All right, Lars, we'll leave it at that. Thanks for your time. In hockey, the unbeaten Indian men's hockey team will face South Korea in their opening Super Fours clash at the Asia Cup in Rajgir, Bihar on Wednesday. The Harmanpreet Singh-led side topped Pool A after defeating China 4-3, Japan 3-2 and Kazakhstan 15-0. Meanwhile, Korea head into the contest on the back of a mixed run, which includes a 1-4 loss to Malaysia. India's next Super 4 matches will be against Malaysia on September 4 and China on September 6th. The winners of Asia Cup 2025 will qualify for the FIH Hockey World Cup in Belgium and Netherlands in 2026. All right, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.